Okay. Hello, world. Last time we left off, we were working on these unit tests, and we had a couple failures in the last two of them. So this time we're going to finish them up so we can finish up our deliverable. Um, so I took a quick look, and the errors actually make a good amount of sense. So let's first start up our virtual environment, and we will run the feed unit tests. All right, so when we run it, we'll look at the metadata one first. So we're getting here, right? Verify exception raised on line 24. So line 51 is calling it. And that's this one here, right? So last time we added in the type errors into feed. So it has to have a metadata, and then it calls validate on the metadata. So we have the key error up there. We have the type error that it has to be metadata, and then we're trying to validate the metadata. So this should be valid. So what we did, right, was metadata is automatically validated when it's created, so it would have to be edited in some way. So we have this metadata that's created here, and we then go into this metadata and we delete the name attribute. Now, that's not a value error, right? So we're not propagating up the errors. So when metadata calls validate, it's not catching it and then throwing a value error on metadata. We want it to fail where things are failing. So the error that's failing is a key error because we are missing this key. So if I open up the feed here, if we open up the metadata here, right? So we deleted the name, so this is a key error. If we want to raise a type error, we can do so by changing the type of that, or we can raise a value error inside the metadata by hitting one of those. So let's come back here, right? And so this is actually going to be a key error. And so we run that, and now the test passes. And so while we're at it, let's just hit the other errors. So we'll do the same thing where we will create a valid metadata, but instead of we're gonna do self.ddata. So if you remember last time, you have to get it to fail, you can't actually do it directly here, right? So I can't say URL equals not a URL. If I run this, I'm going to get this type error, feed metadata object does not support item assignment, which is just a general. So the only way to edit this is to actually edit the internal dictionary that is being used, right? Which is obviously a thing you shouldn't be doing. So if we do this, and then we call verify exception raised, now we should get a type error, because just to quickly show what this is right up here. So all we're doing with this is we are creating a feed, and then we're essentially trying to create a feed using this data up here, right? So in the test, I'll just close these to make it easier to see everything on one screen. So in this test here, we are taking this metadata here, and we are setting it to a new metadata. And we're only doing that because we're doing the same test. So it's the same thing here. We're just resetting it essentially. We don't have to. We could put each one in a separate test if we wanted to. But I think it's fine to just do this for now at least. If we were like running into errors, we might want to separate them out. So Then we're calling this verify exception, which takes this set of data, which we've altered in a bad way, and tries to create a feed. When it does, it'll come in here and it'll basically set it and then call validate. And in this case, we're failing on these validations that we've added in here. We should also, we'll get to that in a minute. So, okay. So this is a type error, so it should still pass. What do we get? URL should be a valid. Is that a valid? Oh, I wanted a type error, so it shouldn't be a string. It should be an integer. That's the type error. If we want a value error, what we're going to do is we're going to come in here. Let's just hit the other one. So the other one is the type. So we'll say type is something else, and this will be a value error. All right, great. So now we have we've got this test to pass. We just have one final test here, and see. So for this one, we're basically not raising the exception, right? So here, so let's write out this test properly like we did for the other one. So first thing we do is we get a type error if this isn't a list, right? So this episodes, so this part we already do pass, I believe. Oh no, we don't have any validations in. Okay, great. So here we have a type error because this isn't a list of dictionaries. Here, we get a type error, because it's not a list of episodes. So, right, we get a type error because it's not a list. We get a type error because inside the list, everything inside the list isn't an episode. I feel like I should split these out into other tests, but let's finish the test first, and then we can split them out. So here, then we have, so we do have an episode in a list, right? So this is fine. But then what's going to happen is we delete the title of one of the episodes. So this should be a key error. So now instead of looking at feed metadata, let's pull up the episode class. And so if we delete the title, right, we're going to get a key error. Then there are type errors and value errors. I guess we might as well just check those two. So we'll turn length sec. So basically what we'll do is let's copy this one. And we're going to create a type error and a value error. And so for the type error, let's do it with length sec here. So episode length sec, and instead we are going to, and so this is I think the same thing where episodes we want to do the data because we're not going to be able to actually access. And so here it should be an integer. And then this one, we want to do something similar to the value error that we did up here. So again, let's get rid of this delete. Let's add in the data that we're changing. And we want to throw a value error. So let's do the MP3. And so we'll do MP3 equals HTTPS should link to MP3. And so that's good for there. How did I test for that in episode 2 test? Okay, cool. So, yeah, so that should propagate up the value. So these are just these are really these are really testing kind of specific concepts. These are really testing propagations. So I might leave these in one test. So first of all, the test still fails. So now we have to update feeds the test passes, right? So these first ones are the ones that we want to basically test here. We want to have a list. So we want to throw type errors, right? So if type al episodes not equal to list raise type error, and I'm just going to copy this for a second. Python so the type of list is just class list. All right, cool. So here, this is class list, and this is episode. Episode is whatever that is, whatever it is. Episode is whatever it is, should be a list. So now, instead of failing on line 63, if we run it, we fail on line 66. So now we're down here. So now we want to also fail if so let's do so there's multiple ways we can do it. We can do a list construct, or we could just like loop through, right? So we could do for, so we know it's a list, right? And so we could do for episode in L episodes, and then say if type of episode not equal to episode, raise type error. The other thing we could do is we could do we could say all, would it be what? All type E equals episode for E in L episodes. If not all, and then we could raise a type error. So just to clarify what I kind of did here. So let's open up let me just open up another command prompt real quick, right? So if I open this up and I say have a list of strings, right? So the first one, so this first one that I have here, right? Right here, I'm saying I'm doing for x in, or well, so I need to set this. For each element in L, x in L, let's say type of x, right? So it prints off those three strings, right? So then if we're in here and we're saying if type of x not equal string, print hi, right? So nothing does. Now if I have an L2, so let's say L2 equals L1.copy plus something that's not right. Oh, let's just call it L. So now if I look at L2, right, that's that, and that's L. So now if I rerun this, so if I run this here, right, nothing prints. If I run it on L2, then we get the one print for the time that it hit. So the other thing we could do is this all construct down here, right? And so basically, if I did a list construct and I said type E for E in L, or X in the case of what I was using before, right? I just get a list of all those types, right? And then if I wrap, or if then I say equals str, right? I get those all as true. So then if I wrap that in an all, I get true. Now if one of them is false, it's false. So the list construct is generally like the Pythonic way to do it because it's considered cleaner. It's, if you're not familiar, it's probably less clear. But if you are familiar and you're saying, okay, so you're looking at this and you kind of would start from the inside. So you're like, all right, I'm looping through episodes, and then for everything in there, I'm checking that its type is equal to episode. So, and then if not all of them are, then raise a type error. So I'm going to use that one because they're equivalent. And then I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to say each element in episodes should be and then well, I guess element episodes must be and then this is going to be similar to how this is feed metadata. Feed metadata is going to be episodes.episodes. So I'm just going to copy this and go episodes. Okay. All right. So now if I run the test again, now I fail on line 70. So now we move down here, and now we're getting these errors down here, right? And so that's the same thing here, where I want to say now I could do, if I'm going to validate all those in one, I could do them so I just have one simple loop, but in this case, right, I'm going to say for E in L episodes E dot validate. So I'm just going to validate every episode. Now if I run it, all tests pass. Great. All right. So check out the log. And so we have the we were still broken last time, and so now we're on this fixed state. And let's just verify. So we'll just go. Let's open up this real quick, and we'll say let's clear that, and we'll go git diff. All right. So what do? We added the validations and stuff in there, and we just fixed up the tests. So yeah, let's just close that out. So let's say git commit am fixed corrected UTs and updated feed, so all UTs pass. All right, great. Now we might as well. So let's look at these tests real quick. So we have the copy data. We have that. We have that. So those are kind of simple. So let's split up these. So right, this one's testing. You get a type error metadata, but these are all propagations, right? Or verifying. So let's say called test exception, or actually let's just say test validate, right? Validates metadata. And then we'll come down here and we'll say def test validates each episode. Now technically, we're just testing that it validates one episode because there's only one thing in the list. But I'm not super concerned with that. All right, so we just made some simple changes. So we'll commit these, and we'll say git commit slight. What's this class called? Feed test. So I could either say feed unit test, feed UTs, or I could call feed test feed test refactor. Cool. So now we're clean here, and we have all the tests kind of passing and stuff. Okay, actually no, I'm gonna do that next time. So okay, let's come over to this work tracker here, right? So we were operating on this, so we created this bundle class. So come in here, and we will mark this complete. And that was the last, that was the last task for the deliverable, all right? I'm not going to complete the deliverable yet because I'm going to complete it when I actually merge the code back in. But now all the tasks are in, we can merge the code back in. The other thing that I want to add in here is I want to add in a 16 we're on, and this is going to be create unit test runner, right? So now currently, if we want to run these unit tests here, we have to run each one of these individually. It would be nice to obviously just run a single command or a single file that runs them all. And that way, if we have to verify that everything works, if we're making a change somewhere and we want to verify all the tests work, we just run all of them at once, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add that, but I'm not going to do it as part of this deliverable because it's not inherently related to it. I am going to do it next, though, before I continue on coding the other things. So now we have a slight change here. So we completed that and we added that. So we're going to say, I'm actually going to commit these as separate changes, right? And so to do that, I can actually go git add or git dash a, git add dash I. That's what it is. And that's going to open up an interactive git add. So now if I hit P for patch, and then I select the file I want to change, and then the star's there, so now I press enter. It's going to give me, and so see on the bottom here, it says there are 2 changes and I'm on the first one. So this is the first one. I'm not going to commit that one yet. I'm going to say no. And then I'm going to say yes to this one. So this is the first commit, right? And then that's everything that was in the file, so I'm going to quit. Now if I look at git status, I see that I have a staged, I modified, but it's one's staged and one's not staged. So now if I check git diff, this is the unstaged, right? And the unstaged one is that unit test runner here. If I go git diff staged, I see that the staged one that I'm gonna, if I commit just whatever is already staged, is that completed of that. So I'm gonna say git commit am completed final what is this deliverable? 7 data class task. Oh, see, and then I out of habit I committed them both. So let me reset that and do it again, just real quick, right? So I'm going to reset it. So they're both there. And come back up here, add them separately. Go P. 1, enter, no, yes, quit. come back up to this commit, and I'm going to remove the -a because I just want that now. I just have this git commit -am, and I'm going to say added deliverable for UT runner. Okay, cool. So now we need to merge this all back in, right? So if I move this over here and I check it out, and so I'm going to go git, actually I guess I'm just going to move this back instead of moving everything around all over my screen. All right, cool. I'm just going to do it in this one. All right, so git status, git log dash one line. Okay, so this is everything we've actually committed, right? So now, if I were to, so main is currently here. All the changes we made for this branch that we're on off of main are these changes here for all these past episodes that we've been doing. So episode 5 through now 10. If I were to add all these back in and have all these, some commits are broken, stages before we were able to fix things, and we have a whole bunch of kind of junk that honestly kind of is kind of messy, right? Like here, these commits where we added, kind of more specific things. We did kind of specific prototyping and stuff. So I'm going to collapse this kind of commit history. Now you could do it using kind of other tools and like PRs and stuff, but in this kind of basic setting, I'm going to collapse them all, especially because it's just all stuff I'm working on, right? If I was normally working on this as like a project and I was committing as a deliverable all these data classes, I would probably do it as just one commit. So, maybe we could do it as multiple commits, right? One for each of the tasks, as opposed to each of these kind of separate things, or maybe we just want to do it for, just one deliverable. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to rebase on main, which in this case, there's nothing that's going to happen, right? Because we're already up to date, because we're not using remote repositories. So now I want to keep this branch for my own sake. So I'm going to go git checkout -b to create a new branch. I'm going to call it data classes -007 -merge. Okay, so now if I look at this, I'm on this one. That's where head is pointing to, but I have this other branch here. So now I want to remove all these commits, right? Basically uncommit all these things. I don't know how many that is off the top of my head, so a real quick way of doing it is let's do 20. All right, so 20 commits includes all of these. So it's actually 19 commits. Will give me this marked one. So that's everything that I have here. So if I do git reset head -19, enter that. Now if I check out the log, I only have what's on main. And if I go status, right, I have all this stuff. I have the modified work tracker, because I think, let me look at this real quick. Where were we? Okay, all right. Marked work starting work tracker. Okay, yeah, and then so we modified the work tracker and we added everything else. So if we do git diff, we basically completed all these tasks here, plus we started this deliverable, and we added this this one here. And then let's go back to git status. And so we have the episode, feed, and metadata classes. So what I'm going to do, so first thing I'm going to do, let me minimize this for a second. I'm now going to mark this completed, because that's part of these changes I'm now making. And I'm going to commit everything with the exception of this one here as one commit, right? So I'm going to say, so let's look at the log real quick. And all right, so I'm going to scroll up. So we had episode 5 through 9, and I kind of want to keep that little history. So what's a decent way to format it? Let's say, well, so let's go get add all, get restore staged work tracker, get add work tracker, get add dash I, get add dash I, patch. So we're doing the same patch thing here. So we're gonna split this because we want to do these as separate. We want to do this one as one, and this one as another. So if we do split, it'll try to split them into different ones. So we do want this one, we don't want that one, and then we want this one. So we can put. So now if we go get status, if we diff, the only thing that's left over is that one that we don't want, and everything else is now staged. So now we can do get commit dash m, and we can say D007. How do I want to do this? Let's say merge dash 007, or no, let's go, okay, so what branch are we on? Get what line? Okay. Get dash m, merge data classes 007, and I'll go episode, what was it? So it was 5 through 9. Episode 5 to episode 9. Should I do it like that? We'll do it like that. That tag to that tag, especially since they're sequential. That's fine. All right, so we're merging that one with that, and then we have created episode, well, let's do it in order. Feed metadata episode and feed classes with 2 T's. Updated work tracker. Yeah, I don't know if that was unnecessary. So let's just do that, and then just commit dash m this time. And now if we check out the status, we still have this, so we'll go get commit dash am, and we'll say, we'll just call it the same, just do the same thing that we did before. So that was get commit dash am, added deliverable for UT runner. Cool. So see now main is here, we have this kind of merge commit, and then we already have this thing here, so that we're gonna add that one in. So now, normally, one thing I will often do in kind of the work environment that I have, I just do mostly rebases. So one option, right, is I could go back to main, and then I could rebase main on this, which is be a fast forward. I think if I do get, let's try this out, get merge Or no, I think I have to go there and do it. All right, let me just do this. Yeah, I already did it. So git checkout main. Actually, technically, I have to use the v checkout, don't I? So even though it's not going to do anything, I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to check that back out. And so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do vBranch. Oh, I didn't give it an argument. vBranch main. Okay, so I'm here. I'm on main. One line. Don't have any of those things. All those files are now gone, as you can see. So now I'm going to git merge. Copy this. Cool. And so see now it did a fast forward merge because there was no issues since everything technically, because we've rebased it, it could just do a fast forward merge even though there were no changes. But it has all the changes for episode and the unit test feed metadata, the unit tests for those, and the work tracker. And so now if we check out everything's there on the one side, and if we check out the log, we get the episode 5 through 9, and then we're going to come over here. So this is episode 10, so we're going to git tag EP10. And now tagged here, merge with this, right? And so basically if you were kind of looking at the episodes, you're like, all right, episode 1 got to here, 2 we got to here, 3 we got to here. Now there's a little ambiguity, I guess, in this way of doing it, because episode 4 is actually on a different branch. But we have these ones which are actually included in episode 5. Then we have the episode 5 through 9 tags are all on this branch. So if you kind of came over here and did vBranch without the merge, so we did this. So the other thing you'll see, right? So let's check this out real quick. And so now if we do git log online, right? So we have all these episode commits here, right? So these were kind of all part of it, but these ones here were done on the main branch, right? So we didn't do everything in the episode on the whole branch. But then we have 5 through 9, plus these ones that we did in 10, right? So you can kind of find that easily. So we'll go back to main. And yeah, one line, just do the whole thing. And so, yeah, so we merged it back in, and now we're back on main. So if I get rid of this, and we look at the work tracker, we have completed the data classes, and now we can do the feed parser, we can do the Twitter API, we could do the episode filter, but it's kind of dependent. And we have the create unit test runner. And yeah, so I think we only have scoped out the feed parser. We haven't done anything for this deliverable or this one, because those are going to be after the feed parser. And there isn't really anything for 16. It's going to be like one simple thing. So we'll probably just do this one next time. Before we get into the actual parsing of everything. But yeah, so I think that's all for this one. So with that, see you.